Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where you're watching and when you are watching this video. This is Dave from the Bass Channel, and I am here with another Big 3 comparison video. That's right, Big 3 as in Boss, MXR, and Electro Harmonics, the kind of Big 3 names in pedal manufacturers. We've done a few of these before, and today's episode is all about reverb. So a lot of people hear reverb these days and they just think, yeah, that's where I buy all my used pedals. But no, reverb is, of course, an effect type. And it's probably not one that you'll think of very heavily when you think bass, because too much bass and too much reverb together can just be a muddy mess. But it does have its uses and it has its places. Whenever you're playing something, especially like solo melodic bass tends to have reverb, some real ambient shoegazy stuff, sometimes you'll find just a touch of it in rock and jazz and soul. It's probably used more often than you might think, and it is not as useless an effect on bass as some people might think. So first up for Boss, it's the RV-6. The RV-6 gives you 8 highly musical reverb effects in a compact pedal. Add body and depth to your core tone with standards like room, hall, and plate type reverbs. Dial up swirling richness with the modulated reverb, or surf it up with vintage style spring reverb. There's also a dynamic mode that adjusts the depth to your playing, kind of automatically doing kind of a ducking thing. And of course, you get some modern effect types like shimmer reverb and reverb with delay. Alright, jumping across to MXR. The MXR's reverb pedal is technically named the M300, but it just says reverb on the front, so everybody just calls it the MXR Reverb. The MXR Reverb has 6 different modes. The 6 different MXR modes include plate reverb, spring reverb, what they call epic, which is kind of a multiple delay stacking up into a reverb. They've got a modulated reverb as well. They also have room, of course, and then their shimmery kind is called pad. The pad reverb is a little different than other shimmers. It's got an octave down, and it's got an octave up, and it's got some echo in there. So they're all kind of blended together. Plus, it's got a tiny bit of modulation as well. All right, and last but not least, certainly not least, especially in the case of this pedal, from Electro Harmonics, we have the Ocean's 11 Reverb. It just says, the Ocean's 11 is a compact, affordable pedal packed with advanced functionality in 11 reverb styles ranging from essential to exotic. Running down the list, you've got the 11 main types are Hall, Spring, Plate, Reverse, which is unique to this pedal in the lineup. Echo actually has delay to it. Tremolo, reverb plus tremolo. You've got a modulated reverb, which includes Electro Harmonics' famous flurb, flanged reverb type. You've got dynamic, which has a swelling and gating and ducking functions. You've got auto infinite reverb. You've got shimmer reverb with that nice octave shift to it. And you've got polyphonic reverb, which has configurable pitch shifting built into it. That's just kind of crazy, but it gets even more crazy when you realize that the way they've set this pedal up, you've even got hidden parameters, which we'll try to get into a little bit. I don't know that we could possibly get into everything this pedal does within the scope of this video. All right, you've heard me yammer about the specs and the different types of reverbs, and you've heard a bunch of sound samples by now. So let's talk about what we think, what we liked, what we didn't like, kind of our general sense of the whole thing. There's a few things that surprised me personally. Going into this, I just automatically assumed, oh, I'm going to love the MXR. And honestly, when I first heard the MXR Reverb, when it came out, we did a video about that pedal on this channel, and I watched that video and I thought, man, that pad setting on the MXR is super cool. Love that. I would want that in any reverb pedal. But the other two pedals, they're newer, and I'm telling you, they came to play. Overall, the MXR comes out as it's the most expensive of the three. The MXR is $219 versus the Boss at $169 and the EHX at $176 in terms of US dollars of price. The MXR is not only the most expensive, but it's also the most subtle. You kind of are not really swimming in reverb with the MXR, which makes it more useful in some situations, but a little bit lacking in other situations. Really depends on what you're after. As for the Boss is right in the middle in terms of the number of modes, but the Boss is also the cheapest, and it's just got that quality that you'd expect to come from Boss. You can just buy this pedal and leave everything set at noon, and it's going to sound great. the sleeper hit, I suppose, is the one that's right in the middle in terms of price, but is all about the functionality, and that's the EHX. And after listening to all three of these pedals, I personally think I would probably go for the Electro-Harmonix, even though I thought I would go for the MXR out of the gate. The bottom line is the Electro-Harmonix Ocean's 11 surprised the hell out of me, and I think it surprised the hell out of Chris too. The modulated reverb has this really thick, heavy modulation on it to the point where you might not even need a flanger pedal, chorus pedal, if you have one of these on your board. The reverse sounds cool, sounds very cool. It's not too distracting. It's not all the way, reversing everything all the way up to the attack like some reverse delays might. The fact that it's a reverb keeps it kind of on the back burner, but still sounds interesting. And I'm telling you, the shimmer, is it called shimmer on the Electro-Harmonix? It sounds like a whole other kind of set of orchestration in the background. It's got so much character to it, and it's got so much. It doesn't just sound like, it's just pitch shifted an octave up and kind of, echoed into the abyss. It's got its own kind of feel to it, and it really complements some of the bass lines. You're playing your solo melody bass, and something like that, either the reverse or the shimmer from the Electro-Harmonix is going to add, in my opinion, an entire new dimension. You can usually, with reverb, you know what you're going to expect to hear. I think the Electro-Harmonix kind of pushes that envelope more so than the other two. The other two do have... Typically, when you think about reverb, especially on guitar, and when you do think about reverb on bass, you think you kind of know what you're going to get. Oh, it's going to sound like it's in a big, huge hall. It's going to sound like it's in a big, huge canyon, what have you. In this case, I think the Electro-Harmonix has modes that push that envelope, and while the other two do as well, I think that they're pushed more interestingly to more interesting places by the Ocean's 11. That said, I am not going to sleep on the MXR or the Boss. They are also both great pedals with great modes. I think if you want a subtle reverb, grab the MXR. It's a little bit more expensive, but you know what you're getting with MXR. Really, all of these brands are known for a particular niche of pedals. The Boss is going to be built like a tank. The MXR is going to be very easy to use and usually pretty well built. And the Electro-Harmonix, while some of their pedals do seem to have a reputation for not being quite as well built, the functionality and the sound quality out of this pedal, I think, speaks for itself for the Electro-Harmonix. So in terms of where I personally am, I'm voting, kind of on my podium, the Electro-Harmonix is going to take first place, but I don't think I'd be able to decide really between the Boss and the MXR for a second place finish. So what do you guys think? What did you find the most interesting sound, the most interesting set of features, or the most compelling value proposition out of all three of these pedals? Love to hear what you have to think in the comments below. Gonna have to give a shout out to Zounds, of course, for somewhat sponsoring this video, for being our affiliate partner. So if you buy anything from Zounds using our affiliate links below to get maybe one of these pedals or something else, that would help out the channel a little bit. If you want to buy us all collectively 1 cup of coffee a month or so, go ahead and become a channel member. You get to support the channel and get a little bit of exclusive content as well. And if nobody has anything else, peanut gallery, anything, anybody? Nope, I think that about is going to wrap up this episode of The Big Three. Thank you for tuning in. This is Dave from the Bass Channel, and I'll see you next time.